Marie Zaborski. I am the assistant principal at Coventry High School, and I work very closely with our two PBGR coordinators, Tiffany Risch and Tony Marsala. I just realized that we're not going to have an opportunity to ask questions live here tonight, but I'm going to ask Tiffany and Tony to make sure that you have their email addresses. My email address is zaborski@coventryschools.net. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email us and we will get back to you. We are also going to post this presentation on our PBGR website in the student section, and we will post the answers to all of the questions that you're going to be asking. So Tiffany and Tony, would you like to begin?
Can I just break in for 1 second?
Sure.
So you could have people use the raise hand function if they wanted to ask questions, and you could take the questions live.
Perfect. We can do that. Thank you.
Okay, Tiffany.
All right, next slide, please. All right, so following the Rhode Island Department of Education guidelines, Coventry High School has specific requirements that we ask our students to follow in order to receive a Coventry High School diploma. This includes successful completion of 24 credits. Students also must make sure that they're showing demonstration of proficiency. This includes following a prescribed course of applied learning tasks, which teachers and students have been working on throughout their courses over the last few years. Applied learning tasks, as students are completing them, will be part of a richer picture portfolio. So as students are completing these tasks in their classes, they're uploading them to a digital portfolio, which is housed online. This portfolio will then become important as seniors are becoming closer to graduation, because they will be able to use some of these assignments as part of a graduation defense. Later on, we'll talk about also student-initiated tasks. That'll be later on in our presentation that also can be used as part of this defense as well. In addition, as part of our guidance department, students are asked to complete an individualized learning plan. This is accomplished through a program called Naviance, and Donna Bowden and the guidance department does an excellent job working with students in their advisory classes to make sure that all of the components of Naviance are accomplished.
Okay, so one thing we should point out is that our proficiency-based graduation requirement revolves around our vision of the graduate, which answers the question, what does it mean to be a graduate of Coventry Public Schools? This vision of the graduate is a K through 12 district initiative. It's part of the district strategic plan. And our proficiency-based graduation requirements kind of center around this theme. And, excuse me, part of the theme that we ask our students to demonstrate is being a reflective learner, in which case they set goals for their classes, careers, and college, seek opportunities to learn, seeks feedback, revises work, and assesses resources and information aligned to their strengths and talents.
Another one of our indicators asks our students trying to work their way towards showing, are they a global citizen? So how are they showing that they impact the community responsibly? Are they showing empathy, inclusion, and also respect? Are they seeking cultural understanding? And how do they embrace diversity of opinion?
We also envision our students being responsible individuals, demonstrates choices that promote physical and emotional well-being, collaborates and compromises with others to own team outcomes, fulfills obligations and responsibilities on time, and adheres to school policies and procedures.
We ask our students to reflect on how are they critical thinkers? Can they identify problems, find solutions, and analyze outcomes? Do they seek new knowledge? Are they asking questions? And can they support claims with evidence?
And finally, we want our graduates to be effective communicators. They need to demonstrate reading, writing, and speaking across multiple disciplines, engaging with print and digital media while developing a responsible digital footprint, listen actively and provide feedback and input, and express ideas and knowledge through the arts.
So this message of the vision of the graduate has been embodied in all of our students in terms of a message, not only just in the high school, but also K through 12, as Tony has mentioned. We have posters that are hanging in all of the buildings. We really want our students and our staff and also any person that walks into our schools to really know what a graduate is really showcasing. So students are aware of this, and actually the message that Tony and I just shared with all of you about what we expect a graduate from Coventry Public Schools to know and to show, it really does transcend and hopefully will leave them and leave with them, I should say, to go into whatever path they choose past Coventry High School, which is, I think, really important. In addition to the banners that you see hanging throughout the buildings in the district, you'll also notice soon that classroom posters are being developed. So we have a K through 2 version for our younger learners, and then there's also a 3 through 12, the grade 3 through 12 version, which will soon be hanging in classrooms as well. In terms of the question, right, how does the student demonstrate growth towards the achievement of the vision of the graduate? Hopefully, learners are seeing that they can do this daily in the classroom. They can do this through those applied learning tasks that we already mentioned. They're doing this through reflections and also beyond the classroom. So within the classroom, as we mentioned already, not only will students be completing the applied learning tasks, but we also want the vision of the graduate message to become part of their daily routine within lessons that are happening each and every day that they walk into their classrooms at Coventry High School and at the other elementary schools, the middle school, so on and so forth. Also, hopefully, little by little, as these posters become part of their classroom routine, and they see the posters hanging as they're doing an assignment, they can look up and reflect and start to think about how are they, working on something today? How does that transcend into the vision of the graduate, and start making these daily connections as they're working on whatever assignment they may be partaking or participating in.
One of the recommendations from RIDE for proficiency-based graduation is that students have the opportunity to reflect on what they do. So reflection is built into the students' I guess, applied learning tasks through advisory and in some instances daily, with students doing exit slips and things like that. But students will use a vision of the graduate rubrics, which have been developed and approved, to reflect on their growth towards meeting an indicator, which are the 5 things that we had just gone through. Students will have the opportunity to self-assess at the beginning of their freshman year and then at the end of each year. So they'll be developing a running, I guess, narrative of their growth throughout high school. Students should look at rubrics holistically to see where they begin and how far they have come and what improvements that can be made or they have made.
And we know that our students are doing amazing things outside of the classroom as well as inside of the classroom, but we want to be able to showcase the work that students are also doing outside of the classroom. So through the process of student-initiated or self-initiated tasks, students can showcase what they do outside of the classroom. Maybe a student does a tremendous amount of community service, or maybe they're doing something like an Eagle Scout project. And these are just a few examples. We have so many that we've started to come up with and compile a list just to kind of get some thought behind what could students be starting to think of as self-initiated tasks. We would like these students to be able to showcase what they do outside of the classroom and be able to use that towards their graduation portfolio and possibly their defense, if that's something that's very important that they speak about. Because if that's what they think is showcasing their vision of the graduate, we want them to be able to speak about that.
Okay, so you may be thinking, okay, how many applied learning tasks do students have to do, which is what they're entering into their portfolio. And the class of 2024, and note the asterisks, is 13. Now that's, not a number that we're going to hold students to, strictly, because we've been implementing this over the course of, the past couple of years. However, the class of 2025, they'll need to have 18, the class of 2026 and beyond will need to have 2022. So it's scaffolded, so that way there it's, fair to all the classes that it's being implemented into. All the opportunities students have to address the vision of the graduate stems, which are those bullets under the 5 areas that we went over, the 5 indicators. Those need to be uploaded into their Richer Picture website. As Tiffany spoke of earlier, that's where the students are warehousing all their work so that they can have something to showcase in their senior year.
And in terms of the vision of the graduate defense, the whole goal is that students are going to reflect and demonstrate growth towards the Coventry Public Schools vision of the graduate. Ideally, right, we're going to showcase their skills, right, and also hopefully their passions. And this will help happen at the end of their senior year. But the idea is that students will start to craft their presentation, hopefully before maybe the end of their junior year, to be ready with a presentation at the beginning of their senior year, practice presentation, ready to go, and then hopefully schedule them to do a panel presentation at some point. We're still working out the logistics, and that's coming up within the next couple of slides because we may need some of your help with this. The overall defense, we're looking for a presentation between 12 to 15 minutes. It has to be interactive and it has to be to a panel of school and community members. Ideally, we're looking for students to discuss some of their artifacts, including it could be their ALTs that they're putting into this portfolio and any of those student initiated tasks as we've already mentioned. I do have a timeline here that Tony and I have been working on. Tony, can you pull that timeline up if you can click on that?
It's coming.
And again, all these links, when we share the presentation, all of these links will be live for you all so you can take a closer look. It's very tiny. I don't even know if I can read this, Tony.
Any better?
Well, that's all right. So during all of their years at CHS, students should be completing their ALTs in their classes, uploading their work into Richer Picture, and working towards completing the needed number of credits that they have to have for graduation. So that's going to be working towards a 9th, 10th, 11th grade concept for graduation. And then during that advisory block, students should be meeting with their advisor to go over anything that they need to with Richer Picture in terms of their progress, working on their ILP, which is that guidance component that we mentioned already, and then focusing on their yearly reflections and trying to determine where are they in terms of their defense? Are they getting ready to? Are they doing a practice? How are they doing with presenting? And then during their senior year, students should be finalizing their Richer Picture entries. and then begin creating that defense, hopefully early in the fall. If students can start that even at the end of their junior year, that might even be the best. But definitely at the beginning of that senior year in the fall, definitely getting a practice presentation in, and then hopefully by the end of semester 1, be ready to go, right, in terms of a final presentation to be presented with a panel.
Okay, moving on. So you also might be thinking, okay, what format could the portfolio take the shape of? So it's pretty open-ended. The student may choose any way they want to present their final portfolio defense, including, but it must include some visual aid, which might be inside of Richer Picture. They have a nice kind of a tour setup where students can link objects and artifacts to, or anything that they put in it, and then they could show it that way. They could do a Google slide presentation. Students could do a live demonstration of some sort. Again, it's personal to the student. They could create a website, could be a series of podcasts, video clips. While some of the presentation may be pre-recorded, the student needs to present it in real time. So they need to actually get up in front of a panel to, run the course of however they want to present their growth towards the vision of the graduate. We also have a school improvement team that's dedicated to the vision of the graduate. There is a link here that we're looking for parent volunteers. So there is a sign up link that's available. And again, I can show you where these things are posted so that you can get it online.
So there are a variety of resources that we have for parents and students. The first one, Tony, can you click on the first one if you have a minute? Thank you. This is a link to our Coventry High School PBGR website for parents and students. This has a breakdown of all of the requirements for students. It also has many definitions that we've talked about tonight. There are also a lot of links for you at the I think it's at the top, top left, that will define and also give you a lot of information about many of the topics that we've discussed tonight in terms of whether it's the vision of the graduate or the ALTs or the portfolio. There's also information on how to contact Tony or I if you need to ask us additional questions past tonight. There's the link to the presentation. Yep. So please feel free to dig deeper into any of these links if you'd like additional information.
So everything is located here for students and parents that they would need for information. There's also a link to the Richer Picture website, which every student has access to. Sorry for the slowness. I don't know why that's taken for, oh, there we go. So your student's site will basically look like these three things here. They'll have assignments, student in their classes. I believe they have a report button. This is mostly for teachers, administrator access. But in this area, you'll find all this classes your child's enrolled in, and then all the assignments that they were assigned as far as applied learning tasks go.
So if you'd like to, this is how your student logs in case they forget. You could definitely remind them how to log into Richer Picture, or sit with them, right? And ask them to log in and show you, ask them to give you a tour, right? How do you navigate through Richer Picture? What have you uploaded so far? What are your assignments this year in Richer Picture? What will you be working on? It's a great way to have a nice moment to connect and see what they'll be working on this year, or what have they worked on in the past.
It's amazing the work that they put in there, just from the work that we've seen so far. Kids are doing really awesome tasks. If you need to get in contact with any of like myself, Tiffany, you can use the office phone, which FYI is not the best because it really doesn't work right. But email is a great way to contact us, whether it's, informational, individual student, information that you want. We're available to do that. So if anyone has a question, they can raise their hand and we're here to answer them.
Okay, I'm gonna bring Karen in. Karen, you just need to unmute your microphone.
Hi, I was just wondering, where do they start? I know they already started putting stuff in their Richer Picture, but where do they start actually putting it all together? My daughter's a junior, so I just was wondering, who does she sit with to help her put this all together?
Well, that would be at the beginning of next year. She'll be a senior, and then they will, the first course of actions, normally the advisor. So that's a function that takes place in advisory, is putting their portfolio together as far as what they want to present. Then the advisors would observe them presenting, make sure they're set and ready to go. And then that information would come to Tiffany or I as coordinators, and then they would get on a list as being ready to present. And then we're also available during advisory to work with kids that need help.
Okay, good to know. So this year, she's basically just doing these tasks throughout the year with teachers in each classroom. And then next year is when she would take the classes the ALTs that she did this coming year. Her senior year, she would take them, pull out what she wants to use, and then put it into a presentation. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay.
In a nutshell, yes. But it can be, she can individualize it by her interests. Like, say she's really interested in science or wants to go to college and focus on the sciences. Well, her presentation or defense might be about, well, how these ALTs are enabling her to do that.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. I just didn't know whereabouts she would bring it all together, but that wouldn't be till her senior year next year.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, up next is Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, I have a junior as well, and I just wanted to find out, is someone, whether it's advisory or of one of you staff members, going through this same presentation and explaining to them what is required? This is honestly the first time I've heard of Richer Picture.
The students have been trained per se. We've put together presentations for them, and during advisory, the advisory teacher is supposed to show the presentation to the students, and then they fill out an acknowledgement form that they understand it. We've also had students come down to our office, and we've sat one-on-one to go through things with them. So if your child has, and needs more information, we are always available during advisory.
Okay, so this would be something we would direct questions to either one of you versus the guidance counselor.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and career tech, his career tech program is linked to this as well.
Or if he's in career tech classes, like
Yes.
what's his program?
Welding.
Welding. So if he's really interested in welding, when he goes to put his defense together, he can center it completely around that topic.
Okay.
Like he has that flexibility, and chances are he's really comfortable with it. He could literally take his work in and, walk up the panel through how whatever it is that he's doing gets made, which, definitely demonstrates the components of the vision of the graduate and what we want our students to do. So
Okay.
yeah, sure. That's great.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Kimberly is next.
Rest.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hello. I'm just kind of wondering for the the presentations, what exactly would these speakers need to be like doing, and what would there be intent when they're presenting? Like, what would their purpose be in mind while they're doing this?
So in reference to the student,
Yes.
okay. Well, that depends on the individual student. And it depends, because it's open-ended, we didn't want to say that, okay, you have to do A, B, and C, like you have to present 4 ALTs and it has to be for, 20 minutes or overly prescribed. It can be whatever mindset the student has. Like how have they grown throughout their 4 years at Coventry High School? How have they focused on the vision of the graduate, and what does that mean to them? So because every student's individual, it could mean different things to different students. So it could be that maybe a student has submitted some, individual personalized applied learning tasks, like Ms. Risch was talking about, and they focus on, I don't know, dance or some art activity that they do outside of school. And that coupled with maybe they did an ALT in art demonstrates that student's artistic abilities have grown throughout her 4 years or his 4 years of school. So that's kind of like, it's the student mindset, not the teacher's mindset, not Coventry High School's mindset. It's focused on the student themselves. That's, my colleagues can feel free to add to that if need be.
So when we started to revise our PBGR requirement, which was actually in 2018-2019 school year, one of the things that we were very focused on was making sure that students had a great deal of choice. And we wanted them to be able to put together their experience at Coventry High School, or even, now that the vision of the graduate is actually the district's strategic plan, students are going to be able to even speak of their pre-K through 8th grade experience as well. In the past, students the presentations became very repetitive, and each student was talking about their common course assessments. And you might have had a significant number of students talking about the same assessments. We wanted to eliminate that, and we wanted to make it more personal. We wanted it to be every student's individual journey through Coventry High School. So it might seem like it's a little bit, loose, but it's actually the guided questions or the guidelines that we put into place are going to be very useful in the students being able to tell their own stories. Does that help, Kimberly?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna bring in Lavoy next.
Hello,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, so who are they presenting this to? And is this a graded situation? Is it like a pass-fail type thing? I'm just a little confused about it.
So they are going to be presenting to a panel of teachers and community members. That won't be until next year, and we are still working as a district to meet that goal. We want students to be proficient prior to presentation. It's not graded per se. It's not, the grade isn't incorporated into any course. It does not determine a credit, but it is a state requirement that all students have a proficiency-based graduation requirement that they present.
Okay. How many people are they presenting to? Is this
We
something-
haven't made that determination yet.
Okay. All right.
It would most probably be a minimum of 3.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Deb is the next one.
Hello, Deb.
Hi. So you may have spoke about this earlier. I'm not sure on the ALTs. They need to have so many ALTs in each class. They are doing these ALTs in their core classes.
So
Um,
go
Sorry,
ahead. Yep, go ahead. You can finish. I'm sorry.
Well, I remember during open house, I was in the chemistry classroom and the teacher was saying, I need to make sure that we get all the ALTs done this year because they're not going to have science as a senior unless they choose it as an elective, but they'll be, done with their science credits. So, just, who's keeping track of this to make sure that they've got as many ALTs in each core class as they need, especially going into their senior year when they may not choose to take a history and they may not choose to take a science. They'll be done with those, credits.
So the one thing that's really good about the ALTs as opposed to the Common Core assessments that we used to do is the ALTs really aren't tied to a particular course or discipline. The ALTs are aligned to the vision of the graduate and they occur in every class. So we're not saying that students need, X amount from science, X amount from math, X amount from English. We're saying that they need to do 1 per semester for each course and for each semester course. And then if they're in a full year course, they need to complete 2 of them. So whereas with the common comprehensive course assessments, they had to do one every quarter. So it's not that same system. It's the student has an opportunity just by going through their classes to, meet the vision of the graduate.
So what if they don't get them done for whatever reason
Yeah, well, that
in
would
that
happen.
course?
Well,
Yeah, so.
sorry, go ahead, John. Every full year course will have two validated alts that are part of the curriculum, and every semester course will have one alt that's part of the curriculum. Every year, students will be exposed to a minimum of 14 alts. Nope, that's not true. Is it 14?
No, no, I think
28.
it's
28.
Might be 14.
Okay, 14 alts. It's not an add-on to the curriculum. It's part of the curriculum. What an applied learning task is, it's the student demonstrated what they have learned. There's pieces to the alt. There's the reflection, the revision. It has a product that's produced or a plan that's produced. It has higher level thinking skills. It's aligned to the vision of the graduate. It's got to be an authentic, somehow the knowledge that they've received in that class, how is that a part of the real world? It's going to have an authentic learning piece to it, and it has a significant amount of student choice to it. I will say this, we had professional development training for the first year. Highlander Institute came in and trained all of our teachers on how to develop applied learning tasks. And it went really well, but lo and behold, we did get COVID. And we did go through a time period where, professional development was more focused in on, how to do distant learning and hybrid learning. So, we are aware that our initial hope to have all of our classes have semester-long classes have one alt and year-long classes have two alt, we're going to have to be flexible on that. But the first graduating class, the class of 2024, they only need to have 7 applied learning tasks in their portfolio. And some of those tasks can be student-initiated tasks. So we feel very comfortable that the class of 2024, the class of 2025, and hopefully by the class of 2026 with full implementation, we will have every class will have the year-long class will have the 2 alts, and the semester class will have the 1 alt.
And to answer your question, like if a student doesn't complete it, they should be given multiple opportunities in the class to get it done. Now, will some students, may need, some extra time, or maybe they didn't complete it and need to complete it. They should try to do it in the class. And that should be, first line of defense for that is the teacher of the course. We also, our office will also, look to see what's done and what's not done.
And I think with multiple levels, when you have, the teachers and the parents and guardians communicating, and you have Aspen as a way to check what grades are going in, you have the multiple levels of revision that could happen with ALTs. I really do think that having the number of ALTs in will be pretty easy to do. But valid points, great questions, parents. Excellent.
So as a parent, I'm on Aspen, but I don't know what assignments are considered alts.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to be understanding that this particular assessment was an alt?
Yeah. So also what you could do is also send an email to the teacher by all means, right? That's one way to do it. By all means as well, if you'd like to email Tony or I could tell you in the chemistry classroom what ALTs are the alts for sure.
Okay, and this is all being stored in their portfolio, which that's the richer picture. website, is that correct?
Correct. So once they complete that assignment in their class, they should be then uploading that assignment into Richer Picture. And once it's in Richer Picture, it's housed online in this online warehouse per se. And if that's an assignment that your student would like to use as part of their defense, it's right there in this online system that they can then easily have access to. If they'd like to use Richer Picture to build a graduation tour, that might be one way that they can use artifacts and kind of pull them into a tour. We're working towards, ways to help students do that as they get closer towards their senior year. So those are things that we're working on to help students be able to craft that defense at the beginning of their senior year.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Stacy is up next.
Hi, so I'm just wondering, we just moved here for, she's in her sophomore year now, so she wasn't here for the freshman year. So I just want to make sure somehow that wouldn't affect, her ALTs, or, is there something more that she'll need to do or we need to do to sort of fix that?
No. The number of alts that a student is going to need will be dependent upon how often they were exposed to the alts. So because she wasn't here her freshman year, there would be a modification made to the number of alts that she needs in her portfolio.
Okay, and her counselor or teachers will know that, that'll
Yep.
be all set.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, she won't be expected to have her freshman alts in her portfolio.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and last we have Karen.
Hi, I just wanted to clarify, is 2024, so our juniors now, are they required to have 7 or 13? I thought I saw 13 on a slide, and then I thought I heard someone say 7 for the alts.
You're right. I believe I made a mistake when I said 7. And the reason I said that is because we are aware that students were not exposed to the alts as we had planned initially during COVID. So we are going to be very, very flexible on that requirement.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're fairly easy to complete. As you mentioned, he did 7 last year alone.
Yes.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think that's an issue. I just wanted to make sure I know what target we're shooting for.
Mhm.
So is this 2024 the first year you're doing this, and seniors this year do not have to do a presentation, or is it a different plan and target that it's been put together for 2024 versus 2023?
We did make a change in our proficiency-based graduation requirement to affect this graduating class of 2024. It's not the first time seniors have had to present. There was a time span where the development of our new PBGR system had not gone into effect. So there were some senior classes that graduated without participating in a presentation. But in the PBGR requirement for the state of Rhode Island has always required a presentation.
And the community members that would not be, staff or faculty from school, I'm assuming the high school, are you looking for local business owners, or just anyone from the community?
We would love to have community members from all areas of the community to come in and judge to see what we're doing at the high school. Because I think there's going to be some wonderful presentations that take place.
And again, just to clarify, is this, it's not a pass fail, it's the community members are just there to witness?
Correct. Well, they would be, I mean, this is still in the works, the way the actual presentation day is going to roll out. What we are thinking is that the judges will come in, or the community members panels will come in. There'll be some training, and then they'll have an opportunity to see the students' portfolios, and then they would watch the presentation. The hope is that the students will be proficient prior to presentation on presentation day. So it would kind of be like the practice presentations will be the dress rehearsals, but the actual presentation will be the real show. Meaning that it should be proficient prior to presentation.
Yep.
And
Okay.
yes, it's not a pass fail. It is not, it's graded to proficiency. The judges will have, or the panel will have a rubric that they'll use to determine where the student falls. But again, because of the amount of practice that the students will be exposed to, they should be proficient prior to presentation.
Okay, and if community members are not necessarily teachers and used to doing this, and they happen to give a less than proficient mark.
It's not going to prevent the students from being able to graduate.
Okay. Okay, that was my concern. I think that community members should be there to see, but should not, maybe not have input as far as any type of grading or scoring or marks.
I make a note of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, up next is Brenda.
I just wanted to check to see how kids on IEPs presentations might be modified to their IEP, and particularly with community members being involved with the presentation, and they're not, you know what I mean? They need to be able to modify their judgment based on a child's IEP.
Sure, and students, we wouldn't identify a student who has an IEP, but we do have special panels that we would use in order to be in line with a student's IEP.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I don't think there's anybody else with a hand up.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming, and please, if you have any questions, this presentation will be on our PBGR website. Excuse me, with this in the student PBGR website, and Tony and Tiffany will be more than happy to answer any questions. Of course, I would be more than happy to answer any questions. And thank you for coming.
Yes, send an email and we can actually link the presentation and send it right out to you and it has all the links on it.
Right. Thank you for your time tonight, parents.
And thank you, Jim.
Yes, Jim, thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Bye-bye.